Good morning from Big Sky Country. I'm Stacy, owner of Montana Used Bricks, and today I'm doing another food for thought video. I went out to the Facebook Bricklink Worldwide Buyers and Sellers group and found some interesting questions and comments, or at least things that I found interesting. Some of these I might have even gone over before. As we have new people watching these videos, I would love to hear some comments from other people on several of these. I'm going to jump right into it. I had a buyer in Canada put in 2 orders today back to back. I'm in the USA. Normally, since I have not touched them, Bricklink would just batch them together. It didn't, and it charged shipping twice. Anyone else seen this? I'm going to refund one of the shippings. Just curious if folks had seen this. And I added the comments just for a little bit more clarification, because this is basically what I was thinking, and these comments voice that. Did you have the instant checkout? If so, the status goes to paid and a new order is done. Which is true. If you have instant checkout and somebody goes back into your store right away and orders again, yeah, it's going to create a whole new order for that buyer. If the person had done manual invoice and then went in and ordered again, then yes, Bricklink will automatically batch those 2 orders together. That's why if you have people that like to continually add to your order, you're going to want to tell them to do a manual invoice and to hold the order open for so many days. On mine, I have it set up so if they do manual invoice, it will give them the actual shipping charges, or it gives them the opportunity to hold the order open, and I'll hold them open for 7 days before I invoice them if they put that in the comments that they want to hold it open so they can add to it later. And that's something that you want to look at and put in your store terms. But if they do an instant checkout, it's going to create 2 new orders. And I've had people do this and I have combined them, but this next comment got me to thinking that maybe that's not the way to do it. That's a risk, because if you ship both orders in one package, you won't have proof of the second order being shipped. Had a customer try this with me and told them we can cancel and they can put all on one order. That way it can be tracked by Bricklink. So I've done that before, where I've just combined them if they've done instant checkout and refunded the shipping charges. I haven't had anybody who has tried to scam me and say, hey, I didn't get that second order. So it is a risk. It's not one I even considered up until now, but generally people are pretty honest, and usually it's because they forgot something on their order. A lot of times I'll remind them that it does say in my terms and conditions that once they have paid for an order, they will have to open a new one, but I have made exceptions to that. But now I might think about it a little bit more and maybe look at the person's history on Bricklink before I offer to combine the 2. Be curious if you had somebody who used instant checkout and then came back and said, hey, I forgot some parts. How do you handle that? Because I have had people do a manual invoice and then I have just added those parts to their existing order. So I still have a copy of the order. I think even once or twice, once people have done an instant checkout, they'll message me and say, hey, I forgot these many parts. Can you just throw them in with my order? Well, no, I'm not just going to throw them in with your order, but I'll tell them, hey, go ahead and do a manual invoice and I will go ahead and add those to your order. If there's any difference in the shipping charge, it will show up on the manual invoice. But usually it's just 1 or 2 parts, so it doesn't even change the shipping costs. So I found this one interesting, especially since we've started selling used sets on eBay as well as occasionally on Bricklink. What is, in your opinion, the way used sets should be shipped to the buyer? The ideal world would be to divide into bags following the instructions, but that is rather time consuming. Any other inputs on selling used sets? When we bag up the used sets for sale, we bag them by color, and this is mainly because when we double check them, we are using the Bricklink set inventory, which is usually sorted by color. At least that's the default that we have set. And it's just easier, especially because we do sometimes double, triple, and even quadruple check sets to make sure we have all the right parts and all the parts are in good condition. So it's just easier for us, so we can check it, double check it and possibly triple check it to make sure that all the parts are in there. Since we do it that way, it's just easier for us, and plus if the buyer wants to go on Bricklink and double check the parts, then they'll be able to do that fairly easily. If you are someone who sells a lot of used sets, are you somebody who bags by color, category, or just throws them all in a gallon bag? I read in the comments that somebody does that. They basically just put all the parts into a gallon bag, and it just made me kind of cringe a little bit, because I know if I was buying a used set, I'd want it sorted somehow. I don't think I would want to get it all in one bag. Unless it was like 100 parts or something, then I can see doing that. But if you're working with 200, 300, 500 part sets, you're going to want to break it out a little bit. So I'd be curious how you guys do it. How do I put a message on my store that I will be out of town and will not ship until a certain date? I found this a good question because I do this quite a bit. If we're going to be out of town for a couple of days or on vacation, or I just have other things going on and I can't get to my store right away, I change the banner and I change the announcement on my store. I change both of those so that they will definitely see it in one place or the other. I also used to go in and change my splash page. I would put something at the very top about delayed shipping. Your package will be shipped on this date, to let them know when it would be shipped. The other option is to close your store, which I have done in the past, but because business has been so slow lately, I really even hate to put that there's going to be delayed shipping, because I don't want to lose any of those sales. But it does give them an option, and generally it's usually within the week, so people are willing to wait that little bit of time to get the parts that they need. Well, in 300 plus orders, I got my first, "Hey, USPS says they delivered to my house, but I didn't get it. It's a small order, $20, and I can just reship it. Not sure where it was delivered. Oddly, you can't complain to USPS until 7 days after it's marked as delivered." I've had several people come back to me and say that it shows delivered, but they have not seen the package. And I very professionally and politely said, "Not my problem." The reason I do that is because depending on where these people live and how their mail is delivered, it's very possible that somebody has misplaced the order and it'll show up in a couple of days. It could have been delivered to the wrong house and their neighbor needs to deliver it over to them. If they live with a lot of different people, somebody could have brought it in and put it somewhere and it just got misplaced. And also it could have gotten stolen. That does happen. But once it says delivered, I don't think I am responsible for that package, because I'm not responsible for what happens in your neighborhood or your house to get that package to your door. I've done everything I can at this point to get the package to you. It says delivered, and I'm sorry, but I am not going to just take your word that, hey, the package never showed up. If it was maybe somebody who had bought from me 15 times and they're like, "Whoa, wait, you know, it says delivered, I didn't get it," I might help them research that. But I really think that once it says delivered, that's up to the buyer to figure out what happened to it. Now, maybe this is a bad attitude on my part or bad customer service, which it possibly could be. I would be curious how other people, if you've had this issue, how you've handled it. If it says delivered, would you refund the money for a package that clearly says delivered on it? Missing packages is a whole different story. I will refund, I will do the research, I will try to figure out what happened to the package. Once it says delivered, I feel like I've done my part. So I'd be really curious how other people see that, if I should help the person try to figure it out, or if the buyer needs to work with their local post office to find out what happened to that package. This next one is one I know I've talked about before, but like I said, there's probably some new people out there, or maybe you're somebody who saw that video and didn't comment before but would like to comment this time. I'd love to hear how you guys handle this. Hi all, any advice on storing minifigures? I currently have them in individual 50 by 70 millimeter bags and labeled, but it is quite slow to pick an order when I have to rummage through the boxes they are stored in. I have a feeling that I do this very similar to how this user does it. So we have the drawer that they go in, and then we have the individual minifigs with the item number on it, so it's very easy to pull. We generally just fill this up. We have some that only have one or two in them. This one for some reason has a whole bunch, so I'm wondering if my husband is working on minifigures right now. But generally I guess there's probably maybe 10 to 15 minifigures in each drawer. So yeah, it does take a little bit of time, especially if there are, you know, a whole bunch of them that kind of look the same and you have to look at the numbers on them. But for us, this is the best way to store them. So I would be curious how other people do this, if you do it similar to this, or if you have some magic way to be able to find minifigures really easily. I would love to hear about it. So that's all I have for today. I know this video is very choppy. You'll see all the little edits that I made throughout it. It's because I'm having trouble talking today and trying to get my point across. So I'm trying to figure out what I want to say. But I appreciate you hanging in there until the end. And as always, thank you very much for watching my videos. If you like this video, go ahead and give it that thumbs up. If you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. And I will see you in the next video. Bye. If you are someone who sells a lot of used sets, how do you... Oh God, I cannot talk.